I am the oldest child of 12 children. So I feel like what drives me is the fact that I am the oldest child and I cannot fail. So my whole life has always been be number one or be your best, try your best. As long as you do your best, you'll be good. So I feel like I've just always just had this drive to just do more. So right now I'm working on a water company. I'm working on an electrical line in South Sudan to try and get some solar panels up in the country and in the orphanages and in the schools. I am also building a school in Rumbek in South Sudan too. So I have a lot of businesses coming up. It's nothing new.
Be yourself and don't worry so much about what others think, you know what I mean? Because everybody has their own background, has their own beliefs, has their own experiences, which makes you react in a certain way. Even if you got in front of the camera, you know what I mean? If you're just comfortable in front of it, your personality is just gonna come out regardless of what it is you do.
I think growing up looking different, I've had this condition all my life, and constantly being asked questions that I felt ridiculous and just unnecessary and just rude. People let their curiosity get the best of them. They think they're being innocent, but they don't think about, how many times a day that person gets asked that question. They don't realize how frustrating it can be or what that person's dealing with. I could very easily be bitter and jaded towards the world and just kind of like, fuck this place. It's not, it's evil. Like it is, but it's also a great place.
I think modeling is a form of performance art. It's the perception of form and how you present yourself to other people. Model can be a lifestyle. It's a job, it's a title that sell dream to you, to everybody.
I couldn't stand when people used to stare at me because, I'm albino, I'm 6'4", I'm tall, so of course it happens a lot. And, when people stare at you, you think it's negative. And I realized later it's only negative if you're not comfortable with yourself because they're just looking at you. Like, you're just being stared at. I feel like after I became a model, that helped with my confidence a lot. So I look at people when they look at me and I'll actually sometimes smile back or wave back because I feel like it's something positive. Like they're smiling like, wow, he's beautiful, or wow, he's albino. I don't see that often, So I love it now. I love, my skin. I wouldn't change it for anything.
A lot of times people ignore their fears or ignore what's making them uncomfortable, and then it surfaces and projects onto other people when they're interacting. So if I'm feeling a certain way, it's gonna affect the next person, or it could affect 10 other people. So I think if you're affecting someone, you should affect them in a positive way. You should have respect for every other person that you encounter, because at the end of the day, they're capable of the same things you are. They take up the same amount of space you do in the universe. And if you don't respect the other person, then it's like you don't exist. You don't exist at all either, because basically you're just throwing away what you have.
When there's an ideal and a beauty standard that still exists, I suppose it has to do with sexuality and being sexualized. Somebody who's sexy is beautiful, or captivating is beautiful. And then what we see or been fed of what's captivating and what's sexy and what's beautiful is different to what we actually are as human beings and people, because beauty is two-dimensional as opposed to three or four-dimensional. And I think that there is something that is so, personally speaking, it's the uniqueness and the quirks about a person and the asymmetry in themselves. That's beautiful.
My goal is to create and experiment and put a piece of my mind into a piece of music. If I didn't get bullied, I wouldn't go to that room and spend a lot of time by myself and cry and try to understand who I am and find and search within, and then dig deeper and just believe that whoever I am is good. I'm good enough, and I accept myself and I moved on. And if you could just stick to who you are and stay true to yourself, you will find an audience.